According to an article published by Frank Siedelman, 2015, radiology, hospitals' biggest opportunity, needs equality standard. Radiology accounts for nearly 10% of medical field related spending in the United States. However, why is it that radiology accounts for nearly a tenth of the budget? Well, we're here to answer that today. Now, many of you had stated that you wanted to join a medical field related occupation, and radiology just so happens to fall underneath that umbrella. As for myself, I also want to be in the medical field one day and aspire to be a radiologist. Now, for my senior project in high school, I actually got the opportunity to shadow a premier level radiologist, so I have a little bit of background information about the subject at hand. As for today, we're going to cover why radiologists are the key to a well-functioning hospital. And by doing so, we're going to cover three main points. The first being what exactly a radiologist does, the requirements to become a radiologist, and finally, why radiologists are the backbone of the medical field today. With that being said, let's start with the basics. However, to figure out what exactly a radiologist does, you must first figure out where you can find a radiologist. And the first environment being a hospital environment. And this is where a radiologist is going to have their own private office. And then the second being radiology from home. And this is where they're going to work on a computer and are essentially working from home. And then finally, you have emergency radiology and emergency type situations. And this is where radiologists are going to work on emergency vehicles and have to make split-second decisions for patients with heavy trauma. Now, radiologists are responsible for plenty of tasks, such as reviewing multiple types of screenings, such as X-rays, CT scans, ultrasounds, mammograms, and MRIs. And with those scans, they're going to diagnose certain illnesses found within them. And then they are also responsible for governing certain radiologic medicines, such as chemotherapy, and there's even been a rise in nuclear medicines over the past few years. And then finally, perhaps the most important part, they're going to formulate a route for surgeons. So they're going to receive those scans, formulate a route, such as diagnosing it, and then they're going to relay that message back over to the surgeons. And because of the advanced duties that radiologists are responsible for, I'm sure you could have guessed that there's no lack of education needed. First, to become a radiologist, you're going to have to start with an associate's degree. Then you'll move your way up to a bachelor's, then you'll start with pre-med, finish out medical school, and then according to a 2020 article by CME Science, Guide to Becoming a Radiologist, you must pass a specific licensing exam per specific state. For example, if I wanted to practice radiology in the state of Idaho, I would therefore then need to pass that specific test in the state of Idaho in order to practice radiology in the state of Idaho. Secondly, they're going to need on-the-job training, such as housing or residency programs, which is essentially an apprenticeship or shadowing a radiologist. Basically what I did, except theirs are obviously far more advanced. And then finally, after about 12 years of schooling, you can finally say that you're a fully functioning independent radiologist. And because so many prerequisites are required to become a radiologist, they must obviously serve a great purpose. So why is it that radiologists are the backbone of the medical field today? Well, they explore the unknown. They provide solvency to complex medical issues. And these are going to be like genetic birth defects. It is usually a radiologist who is going to diagnose those certain diseases. And then without radiologists, other medical field related occupations would essentially be jobless. Going back to that example of surgeons, a surgeon cannot look at someone, diagnose them, and heal them all in one sitting. That is not how a hospital operates. First, the radiologist is going to receive those scans, then they're going to diagnose them, and then that is when they will relay that message over to the surgeon who can physically help them. And then finally, they're the forefront of the future. Let's look at technological advancements, such as those X-rays or MRIs, or even working from home on a computer. There's no lack of technology in the field of radiology. And then finally, according to Keith Luria 2019, who has published many works on the medical field, putting the AI in radiology, he notes, AI will optimize radiologist workflows, facilitate quantitative radiology, and assist in discovering genomic markers. So essentially the idea that AI will eventually not take over radiology, but will assist in it, which will make it move more efficient. And while technological advancements in radiology have no end, Unfortunately, this speech does. So let's review what we covered today. The main idea here is that radiologists are the key to a well-functioning hospital. And we upheld that by showing the job description of a radiologist, the pathway to obtain the title of radiologist, and why radiologists remain crucial in a hospital type setting. So with that, I'll leave you with a personal story of when I went through some of the worst trauma of my life over this past summer. And I know what you're thinking, it's probably pretty bad, but in hindsight, what had happened was I shattered my big toe in about 30 different spots. So when we first went to urgent care, it was very obvious that they weren't just going to be able to wrap it and that it would self-heal itself. So the second option was surgery, but even doctors in Spokane were still puzzled by the idea of how they were going to fix my toe. So they actually sent the x-rays to radiologists, and they were the ones who actually formulated a plan to put a 3-inch long pin in my toe that gave the bone something strong to grow around, and eventually it became healed. It took about 2 months, but I could finally say that I could walk again. So whether it's my life or yours, it is obviously clear that radiologists play an important role in the medical field. Thank you.